So back to the front end. There we pick a file, and in the auth page, it's part of our form data as we confirmed. Now we need to attach to the outgoing request. And now we need to do something interesting here. We need to send different type of data. Thus far, we always send JSON data. Now sending JSON data still is correct if we're logging in, because then we only submit text data, email and password. And important, when I say text data, I mean all data which we in the end could write like this in JavaScript code. So including arrays and objects, anything we can read as a human. Now for images, that's different. Images are binary data. We can't write an image like this here, right? So therefore, we can't use JSON as a format. Instead, we want to use a better data format. And that would be form data, a format which is already built into the browser and into JavaScript, thankfully. We can create new form data like this. It's a browser API, so it's available just like this. We don't need to install any third-party package for this. And we can store this form data in a constant. Now to this form data object, we can append new data. And the cool thing is, on form data, you can add both normal text data, so things like the email, the name, or the password, but you can also add binary data, so files. So here I will append email. You first, as a first argument, need to specify an identifier. Then as a second argument, the value for this identifier. So in this case, of course, form state inputs email value, so what we have in JSON down there as well. Now we can replicate this 2 times to do the same for the name, and of course refer to form state inputs name.value, and then here the password, and refer to form state inputs password.value. This is the data we submitted before as well, so for this we wouldn't need form data. But now we can add, or append to be precise, our image. And this should have a key of image, because on the back end, if you remember, I'm looking for this image key here with this line. I'm looking for a request body key named image, which includes my image. And we set up this request body key with this line in the end, because we'll append form data as our request body in just a second. So this has to be image here, but other than that, it's of course forms data inputs image.value, because we are managing this image file in our regular form state. So now we can fine-tune our request. Instead of sending JSON stringify data, so instead of just sending JSON data here, we just add our form data. And the cool thing about form data is that the fetch API, which we use under the hood in send request, automatically adds the right headers. So we don't need to set headers manually anymore. Instead, it should just work like this. And this should send a request with form data, which includes all our old data, but now also our image. Now back on the backend, our controller, our user's controller, and their create user might not fully work yet. We'll see if this extraction here still works now that we're not sending JSON data anymore. We're also not using the file here, by the way. We're storing it on disk, but then here we're not storing a pointer added in the database or anything like that. So I'll come back to this as well. But for the moment, let's just save this and see if this upload process in general works. Save the front end as well. And then go back to the React app, switch to sign up, and let's try creating a new user, pick an image, and of course also pick a URL. For now, this can also be a used one, and click sign up. Now we get user exists already, but if we go to the backend, we also see that it uploads images. We should have a new file. And this is the image which just was uploaded. So the upload works. You also see, of course, that this means that despite our validation failing, the file was saved. And the reason for that is that when the validation fails, that of course means that we in the end throw an error here in the user's controller. Here we're checking whether we have validation errors. Now by the time we reach this code, of course all our middleware is executed, so the file indeed was stored. So if we want to undo that storage, we'll have to roll it back manually. And in general, in the controller, we're not doing anything with the file. That will be the next step. But what we can see here already is that the general upload and using form data works. Now let's just make sure that we also do something with the file here in signup.